Turner Show. I'm your host, Wayne Turner. As you know, the Kentucky Wildcats just defeated the Florida Gators 76-58. Probably one of the most impressive wins they had all season long. They move on to be 3-0 in the SEC Conference and look like a John Calipari team today. I know the state of Kentucky, especially in Lexington, all the fans are happy and excited. Well, today on my show, I have another special guest. One of my teammates had the privilege of winning two national championships with. Um, this guy has been, I actually one of the teammates that I've actually only played with outside of Kentucky
Oh
professionally.
yeah.
I like to mention that. We were teammates on a professional level as well. Someone, I actually got a chance to get close to a little bit and got to experience what his lifestyle was like moving, going down to Miami, Florida, coming from one of the most prestige high schools in the country, and now fulfilling this dream as a coach, as a college basketball coach, coaching at Loyola Marymount in L.A. My brother Alan Edwards. Al, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the introduction. I forgot about the old Cincinnati stuff, man. But but I do remember the trip to Miami though. You and Big Nas. But
Hey,
yeah.
hey, you remember when so y'all gave me the wheel? We was on our way down there, and
Mhm.
then y'all got me. I was swerving. I was falling asleep.
Well,
Y'all took
I
me off
mean,
the wheel.
we yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, that's a long drive. I mean, it was about 16 hours. So we were trying to rotate, so that we could kind of do it in one shot. Back then we had no money to try to pull over to stay at a hotel, what I'm saying, for a night. So we were just trying to get to Miami as quick as possible. So he rotating. Nas, boy, he big, but like Nas a little scary cat sometimes. So when he feel a shake or something in the road, he wake up real quick. So when we felt that spur, man, we had the eyes get big. So we was like, all right, let's rotate, let's rotate.
Right, I remember that. Y'all got me right out of there. But I'm gonna move forward. We'll get back to that, and we're gonna talk about just the Kentucky Wildcat season this year. You and I both, we've experienced playing 4 years at Kentucky, coming in, and the expectations are always high, and obviously, I know you've heard your coach. Kentucky's gotten off to a start that hasn't happened in the since 1926. I think someone said,
Oh,
you know, Houdini. It was the last time Houdini, performed in 1926, and
mm,
that type of when you bring up those dates and you bring up the past and how long it's happened, I just wonder sometimes what that do to you as a player. I know what it done kind of did for us when we heard that, but you
mm.
know, how do you judge a team this early so fast? With the losses that they've taken early on in the beginning of the season.
Well, you know what, Vern? Like this year is unlike any other, because of this pandemic. And I think when you're talking about the expectation when you're playing at Kentucky, because if you're not playing in the Final Four or national championship, sometimes it's looked at as, a bad season or whatnot. Me being in this profession, I probably haven't watched it as close, but I have deep respect for Coach Cal and what he's been able to do year in and year out with the group that he has year in and year out. Different young kids, and this one's a little different again because, and I say it because I'm a college coach. When you get your summers, taken away from you, and pretty much most of your preseason. And if you, for some reason, have had a COVID test to where you get knocked out to where, and I don't know if Kentucky's went through that yet, it's just so much going into the season. And when you're talking about this much youth or the new pieces, like you miss out. Even a veteran team right now, if dealing with this stuff, are not at their best right now. But I will say I had not had a chance to see some of the losses, so I'm probably a little spoiled because the last few I've seen, they've actually won. I had a chance to watch Cal get ejected at Mississippi State. And I'll say this because Bruiser Flett was at he was at Drexel when I was at VCU, and man, I respect the crap out of him. And I always say this to people: Bruiser is one of the coolest coaches in America. Like he's an OG to the OG. So Coach has a great staff. And sometimes, a win like that helps you prepare into what they're doing right now. I think it's a three-game winning streak. And then obviously doing what they did today at Florida. And I know Florida's down their best player, but Florida's been playing well. Like, if it's one thing you have to give Coach Calipari credit, even when it was a healthy year, man, his teams were always playing better basketball at the end of the year. So what they're going through right now is unusual, but what we're going through as a country right now is unusual. So, I would always say, whether it's the Big Blue Nation or anybody, like, trust Coach Cal's process, man. He's been doing this long enough. That guy's going to figure it out. And again, it seems like they're turning the corner right now, but I don't even want to jump ahead of myself because the SEC is still a little tough. Tennessee's playing well. Missouri's playing well. Arkansas is playing well. Like, there's some games that I'm saying, man, like on the back end to where they have to continue to grow and be able to go against it. And then this is the other thing that I don't think a lot of people get. Not having fans for a program like Kentucky, that hurts you. Because if you're playing in Rupp and that thing is packed, and we talk about this as a staff, like that's like truly your sixth man because they're yelling, they're screaming because of momentum. That helps your energy with your guys. The other thing that's probably underrated is when it's not going well or they feel like the ref have made a bad call, the booing to get on the refs. Like that, like right now, the refs don't have that. Like they're human. When they're being booed and things of that nature, I don't care what anybody says. Nobody likes to be booed, even refs. So when that's a home court advantage that's built in when you're at a place like Kentucky. So even going through all of this, man, those guys are going to be fine. And, Coach Cal and his staff, man, they'll figure it out.
You think they're going to make the tournament?
It's still early, right? It's still early. And again, I think this year is very unusual. So when it comes down to the whole selection Sunday and people start talking, I think what they went through in pre-conference, again, I think that those type of things are being talked about in that room, right? If they continue to go down this path with what they're doing, 3-0 in the SEC, and they finish in the top half of the SEC, I think they'll put themselves in position to play in the tournament. And again, even this year's tournament is going to be different because it's all going to be at one site in Indianapolis. But when you're talking about that, you're talking about bringing the best 68 teams to Indianapolis, and if they again continue to go down this path in conference play, they're going to put themselves in position to play. And it's crazy that we're saying making the tournament because everybody just thinks like it's Kentucky. They should be in it. Like, man, I get it. But they are young, and this is what we're going through, a pandemic. Coach didn't get them in the summertime. And think about it. Even when we were coming through high school, how important the summer was. Just getting used to college, lifting weights, being on schedule. Like all those things matter when you don't have that and you're trying to do it now in the pre-conference. So you lost a couple of months of getting you to understand what it's like, not only to be a player at the college level, but to also be a student athlete at the college level, because that is different.
No, I totally agree. I think, a lot of people miss that part of being a Kentucky basketball player,
Mhm.
numerous hours and cats, papers you got to write, then you got to travel, then you got to get up and practice. It is a lot for a freshman. And I'm glad you mentioned the booing because, you know, in the game against Vanderbilt, from what I've heard, there was some booing going on. And, you know, it wasn't like we were getting blown out, but you and I both know we played at Kentucky. It's how you win the games at Kentucky.
Mhm.
The fans don't like ugly games, but the coaches, hey, we'll take a win, and that's one thing I've
Mhm.
always respected about Cal. Wins a win with him. He
Mhm.
don't dwell on how you won. He just accepts the win. But you know, as a young player, like I could recall one game. I don't remember what game it was, but I remember we came into halftime and Coach Pitino said, they should boo you. You deserve to be booed. And I didn't think, like you said, I thought they were booing the refs. But they were actually booing us and we were up 20 points. So I never really understood that. And I
Mhm.
don't know if you remember that, but I don't think it's fair, but that's just the tradition and that's the way
Yeah.
Kentucky basketball has always been forever.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I don't know if I remember that specific, but I've always remember Coach saying things like that, right? And it goes back to what you said though, expectation. And being on this side now and winning conference championships, I had an opportunity to win the CBI championship my first year as a coach. Like when you went to Kentucky under Coach Pitino at that time, like winning the SEC, that was just what you did. So there's no need to celebrate winning the SEC. You're supposed to win the SEC. You know, there's no reason to celebrate winning the tournament championship. That's what you're supposed to do if you're at Kentucky. That's where that expectation comes in. But then we get to the point where it's almost ingrained into you, like, again, that's what we do. We win the SEC and then we win the championship. But it built us for now the tournament because we did have bigger goals and bigger dreams. And I used to always say that, even, and I know I was a year ahead of you, even coming in there year one, when we used to huddle up, 1, 2, 3, champs. We always talked about being champs, at the end of the day. So getting to the Final Four, to be honest with you, again, that's what you were supposed to do. Like Coach P has set that expectation. And then, winning the national championship, we wanted to be the last one standing. And that's why it was very good for us in 98 because we had an opportunity to win in 96. We had an opportunity to play in 97. So we in 98, we just didn't know any better. To be honest with you, that's just what we believed we were capable of doing. And again, I know we had just lost Ron. We had just lost Epps. We had lost DA. We had lost Prickett. And, we were still older, but we had guys that have been through some things, right? Now, again, we're talking about Coach Cal. He runs it a different way to where he's bringing in guys, on year in and year out, and he's had success doing it the way that he's doing it as well. But his success, it kind of happens within the season, like that process that we talked about. Remember, freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors, like that's what I'm saying by not having the summer. That was like your freshman year. Pre-conference, that's like your sophomore year. Conference, that's like your junior year. Tournament, okay, we ready, guys. It's our senior year. That's how he's approached it. But at the end of the day, man, again, Kentucky basketball is Kentucky basketball.
Right now, that was a great way to put it, man. I definitely, because we gained a step every year we were there, and it's almost like time is limited for those guys. But the guy that I'm really impressed with, and I say this because he got to run the show, and I thought he's just been just solid and steady, and that's Devin Askews. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, to come in as a point guard, and you know this, you and I both were recruited,
Mm-hmm.
to be point guards, and that's a lot of weight at
Yeah.
Kentucky. And you saw him play. I mean, do you think he's a guy that's capable, especially now that Keon Brooks has come back,
Mm-hmm.
and that now he's on the floor with Mintz a lot more? Do you think he's capable of helping Kentucky get to Final Four?
Well, you know what? Again, man, and I think I caught some of the Florida game. And if I'm not mistaken, one of the things I heard them say is he's actually even young to be a freshman, in the sense of age. So, you're one of the toughest positions to play at a young age, whether it's in college, in the pros, is the point guard position. It's a tough position because there's a demand that you have to have as a young guy. You know, like like you said, I was recruited to be a point man, but golly, that was very overwhelming for me, right? You came in the year after and you played a lot, as a freshman. But what was good while you was a freshman, think about it, you had veteran guys around you, right? You had Tony Delp out there, right? You had Walter McCarty out there. You had Mark Pope out there. You had DA, you had Jerry. Like, you had some older guys. So it wasn't like you were out there and you were playing with other freshmen, or other sophomores per se. So again, it's still early, right? And even you as a freshman, you went through your ups and downs because that's what you do as a freshman. What helped you again was having veterans around you. But if he has the right mindset and Coach Cal and the guys continue to encourage and empower him, then he's going to end up becoming the best version of himself. And sometimes, and again, remembering when you were playing as a freshman, guys understood how important that position was. So even though you had the Tony Delks and all those guys around you, those guys still gave you ownership because of that position. And when you're the point guard, you're the leader, on the floor. That doesn't mean other guys can't lead, but you are the leader. You are the extension of the head coach. So when you're dealing with him at the point guard spot, like, that's Coach Cal and him spending a lot of time, even outside of practice, in his office, breaking down film. And then him being able to understand that, and again, this is when you learn that you're going from playing high school ball to now playing college ball. Because in high school, man, you might do a little film. You know what I mean? You might do a little this, a little that. Once you get to college, man, this thing is different. Like, you're watching film, the scouting reports are a lot more detailed, and you have to know these things, right? And then when you coming in there, coach is quizzing you on the game plan. Like, you have to know all of these things, and greatest height, whatever. You're not doing it to that level in high school, especially when you're talking about a premier program like Kentucky. Like, that stuff early on can be overwhelming. But at the end of the day, it's no different than what I said, earlier. It's about being a student athlete, right? So it's about time management, So, like, because you get a lot of freedom, like you ain't in the house no more. You ain't got to sneak in to where mom and dad, ain't nobody checking on you, in a sense of coming back. So you got to understand how to manage your time, So there's a lot of things that open up to you when you go off to college. You're around girls. You got partying. You got like, and I know this is a pandemic, so it's a little different. So he has to be able to resist that stuff and focus on doing what he's supposed to do to become a better basketball player. Because as he gets better, it can only help the team get better.
Totally agree, and you're right. I know my first year that the scouting report was like a whole nother class subject or something like that you had to really know. And I remember Jim O'Brien quizzing us right before the game. So I don't know if Cal does that, but hey, I was ready for those quizzes because I got one wrong. But you bring a guy like Keon Brooks back,
Mhm.
and almost to me, you could immediately see like the team was like almost
Mhm.
rejuvenated tonight. That one of their bigger brother and their older
Yeah.
brother was on the floor, and
Yeah.
he's a guy that's returning. One of the
Mhm.
top recruits that came in last year that is actually returning. But you still have Olivia Sarr, Toppin, who's played who's been around the college basketball game for
Yeah.
a while, and then you have Mintz. I mean,
Mhm.
why wouldn't you look up to those guys? They've already been in the battle. They've already
Yeah.
been in the battleground.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even with what you said, whenever you bring somebody back that plays minutes and affects winning and losing, it helps the overall product at the end of the day, regardless. Like even thinking with our guys, if TD missed a game, that affects us at the end of the day. You know, when TD comes back, that's a great. Now think about it. Remember, actually, this is a great point. Remember, Coach P sat Antoine in the conference tournament against Mississippi State,
Hmm.
and we lost.
Yeah, he sat right
You
beside
know, but that affects. But when you get them back, Antoine was a sophomore at the time. So my thing is like when you miss pieces, that affects winning and losing for you as well. But when you bring them back, it helps. But you made a great point too, Wayne. Is the one thing that was really good about us is the older guys always help the younger guys, and it was like a revolving door. So when you were a freshman, sophomore, man, you looked up to your juniors and seniors. Even your sophomore, you looked up to them, regardless. And I'll say this, like even like I said, you were playing as a freshman. I was playing a little bit as a sophomore, but you still had a respect level for me because I was already there a year ahead of you in a sense of what we do. Even Ron, who again now because I slided more to the 2 and 3, even though he's playing over me, there was a respect level because man, you've been through this. But what it is though is you're learning right as a freshman. So now when you become a sophomore, when you become a junior, when you become a senior, it's your responsibility to pass down what you've learned. At the end of the day, it's your responsibility. So when me, Cam, and Jeff are sitting there as seniors, man, we've learned a lot over the past 3 years. It was like I remember Jamal McGlory. Jamal Jamal came in as a freshman. Tomorrow we gonna win that championship, and we had to pull him to the side. It was like, hey, big fella, hey, that's in house. We don't just say that out. Like that's in house. Like, we don't need to put unwanted pressure on ourselves. But yes, that's the goal. But you don't need to be saying all that because the one thing is you're giving the other teams bullet board material when you're talking about things like that. So it's not like that wasn't the goal at the end of the day, but that's the in-house thing, and that's just an example that you grabbed a freshman and you pulled him to the side, and then from there, hey, he understood. At the end of the day, this is how we operate. It's no different. I can remember, and I tell this story even to the guys that I coach nowadays. I remember our first road trip as freshmen. You know how we got Wildcat time, right? We supposed to be everywhere 15 minutes early, right? we go out to California, LA. We play UCLA. And this is the first time we are on the road as freshmen. And me and Antoine, we're roommates on the road. And we had breakfast at like whatever, 9 o'clock, you know. So, alarm goes off, we're sitting in the room. We're actually waiting to go down to breakfast. Like we gonna get there like right at 9, so the phone started ringing in the hotel. This is before sales, when it was sales, it was really, so that ringing. So we pick up the phone and they were like, man, where y'all at? It was like, well, what do you mean? We're in the room. Like, yo, y'all need to get downstairs right now. And we was like, man, we still got 2 minutes, like we're just taking our time, right? So we get down there and we still got down there before Coach P, which was good, right? But we got down there, Tony Delk, Walter McCarty, Mark Pope, those guys, said right away, checked us. Hey, yo, we do not do that, man. This is Wildcat time, whether we are at home or we're on the road. We get there 15 minutes early, whatever we are doing. Those are the lessons that you pass down. So by the time you're a senior, you're telling the young guys, no, we don't play with that, man. Because, Coach P could get a little, he could go off, So you ain't wanna go through those running sessions over not being on time for something. So no different than this group right now, again, with the younger guys. And again, if you're a sophomore, if you're a junior, if you're a senior within that program, it's your responsibility now to pass down what you've learned under Cal and that staff since you've been there. Because that can only, again, help you guys grow as a team.
I agree. And the newer guys coming in, I joked and said they was freshmen, but it's a new situation for them. They're not used to that type of, tradition at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that's noticeable, I know people probably see it, and it's standing out in my mind that Kentucky has won 3 straight games without Terrence Clark.
Mm-hmm.
Now you bring back Keon Brooks. Now you're playing Dante Allen a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Chemistry is a big deal. We all know that as coaches, as players, we learned. How do you fit him back into that chemistry now with Kentucky playing so well?
I mean, great question. At the end of the day, and by the way, I want to say I do like the Allen kid. I like it because of the name, but he makes shots, man. I like him. But you know what? I think the one thing you can't fall into is thinking that if I bring him back, it's going to mess up our chemistry. I think at the end of the day, you have to just understand how to insert him within what we're doing. You know what I mean? So that goes from practice and then Coach Cal being, even systematic with how he's subbing him to get him on the floor. So I wouldn't buy too much into the whole where he's been out now. How do we reassert him into what we're doing, and if it's going to mess up the chemistry with what we built over the last 3 games. Even if you lose one because of it, you're still getting better as a basketball team. So I think that's something that people talk about, because it could be obvious in a sense of saying, man, we've been playing really, really good. It's like a superstition to me. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, you just got to be confident in what you're doing. And again, Coach Cal, again, when you're talking about college coaches and outside of the box thinking, or like Coach Cal is one of the best in the business. And to be honest with you, might be the best. I mean, that's not no knock to Coach K or Williams and all that stuff. But I'm not just talking X's, O's, and basketball. I'm just talking just thinking, So trust that guy understands what he's doing, man. So bringing them back, even with a day of practice, a couple days of practice, and it's going to be more about the cardio to me than it is about messing up the chemistry. I think bringing them back can only help you long term. And at the end of the day, the goal is obviously not only to play in the tournament, but to go as deep as you can and even put yourself in position to win a national championship. So you can't worry about us on a 3-game winning streak when you're talking about what the end goal is. If the end goal is greater than that, then we got to find a way to get your better players on the floor.
And my reason for saying that is because guys are one and done. He's predicted to go one and done. I mean, how do you you know what I'm saying? He's got to get back in there,
Yeah.
and
Well,
fulfill that goal and dream too.
well, again, if if we were dealing with a coach that has not been through this, in the sense of having guys come in to be one and done guys, right? I if Coach Kyle was not in this scenario before, then I would say, man, okay, because I think you would have to work with his mental, because you don't want him to come in and think selfishly about himself and what he's trying to do in a sense of getting to the next level. That's probably the biggest thing when you talk about inserting somebody back in. Like, at the end of the day, it's still about the team. And within the team, you have to be able to get what your talent say you're able to get. And that was one of the things I always loved about Coach Pitino, because he used to always say, at the end of the day, when we win, we all eat. You know what I mean? Like, when we win, we're all going to eat. Now, everybody still have a different portion within that. It's like dad with the big piece of chicken. We're a family, but at the end of the day, when we win, everybody's going to eat. So Coach Cal has been down this road before, right? So bringing him and inserting them back, I would say Coach Cal has hit that kid on so many levels about just playing the game of basketball. And I would say this too. This is probably a great thing too, because, and you could probably attest to this, Wayne. The one thing about Coach Pitino when we were there, because again, his track record, whenever he said something, that thing was gold to us. It was gold, like, because he had a track record of what he did before he even got to Kentucky. Coaching at the NBA level, coaching guys that have played at the NBA level. So right now, Coach Cal has a track record, man. He's coached at the high level. If I'm not mistaken, I think he has the most NBA players under his belt. So if I am a kid and that guy has what he has, like, it goes back to what you said. That guy's been there. He's done that. He knows what he's telling people. So why wouldn't I listen? At the end of the day, why would I come in and believe, nah, I know what I'm doing? Like, now, if he has that mentality, then he's gonna be in for a rude awakening. But if he just listens to Coach Cal and that style and just have the mindset of this being about team and still being able to get what you got at the end of the day within within what your talent says. Because again, even the group that we had in '96, I think Tony led us in scoring with 14 a game. Like, and he still was a first round draft pick. Twan was a draft pick. Walt was a draft pick. Pope was a draft pick. So you can go back through Cal's history: Anthony Davis, John Wall, Cousins, Bledsoe. Like, where you want me to stop, man? I know what I'm doing. Just trust. So he'll be fine.
I think he will too, and he definitely needs to take a page out of Emmanuel Quickly's book, and also P.J. Washington. Those guys were guys that returned And you know, they were successful, ended up getting drafted, even though quickly didn't go lottery. He still went first
Yeah.
round and is
Yeah.
performing very well in the NBA now.
Yeah.
You know, moving forward, I mean, I'm really happy the way the team played today. I thought
Hmm.
they showed signs of growth. Definitely Keon Brooks coming in
Yep.
and being, you know, the player he has with the experience, and also with Allen stretching the floor. I mean, you have to pay attention to him when he comes out on the court because
Yep.
he's a knockdown shooter. He gives them that knockdown presence. But you know, and I know, you know, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going, and we go on the road in the SEC, and that was a
Yeah.
great win for them in
Yeah.
Florida. And you know, talking about the Florida team just a little bit, I mean, they were 4.5 favorite. Um,
Mm.
had you saw them any this year? I mean, I thought they looked like how Kentucky looked when they first started out.
I've seen them a little bit, not enough to talk about them, but I will say again, no different than Coach Calipari. I think Coach White is one of the better younger coaches in our profession, and even them dealing with some heartache, not only with the pandemic, but losing their best player. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Keontae or something like that, right? Was supposed to be the player of the year in the SEC. Like that to me, like when you lose something like that, man, that you ain't just replacing that, you know, by one player. And think about it. Even when we lost Derek Anderson, everybody was talking about, oh, how do you place Derek? And everybody was trying to call out this name or that name or that name. And the first thing Coach P said to us, is by committee. So I'm sure Coach White, as he's going through this process of playing without him, is just trying to do it, by committee. So at the end of the day, but like you said, I still believe they were actually still playing good basketball, without him being in the fold. So to go down again to the University of Florida on their home floor, and again, this is why, everybody's talking about there's no home court advantage now because of not having fans, or even if you are having fans, not having it to the degree to where you're selling it out, or that is thousands of fans in the arena, rooting you on or booing the opponents or booing the referees. Like when you're not playing with that, that affects, wins and losses. But regardless of it, you have to commend um, Coach Cal and what they were able to do going into Florida, being underdogs per se because of the line and coming out with a win. So again, but that goes through that process of building within a year with the group that he has. And I know everybody again because of the pre-conference record, everybody's up in arms because this hasn't happened, and I didn't know until you told me since the 1920s. So everybody's still probably just pulling out their hair because of that. But this is a what have you done for me lately kind of world, right? So now we're 3-0 and we're feeling a whole lot better because of where we're at right now within conference.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody love you when you win, right? And you definitely got to win at Kentucky. No, I'm really happy to see these guys. You know, start out the conference season 3-0. You know, we know the SEC. There's a lot of challenges, a lot of tough teams. Everybody is out to get Kentucky. That's how we lived.
Yeah.
And you know, even though they're only 4-6, you know, there's still high expectations, and there's even more now. Like so now you're 3-0. You're confident. Now, how do you approach the next game?
Well, to me, it's like momentum. At the end of the day, and the thing about momentum, and this is again a lot of this stuff, man. Coach P used to teach us, and now that you're older, it just makes a little bit more sense, right? But when you're talking about momentum, you want to be able to use it to propel you to continue to have that momentum going. Now, the problem with momentum is guys don't understand, or fans don't understand, even with what they were doing in pre-conference, they were trying to build momentum, right? So it's like pushing a wheel. That first push is tough. Second push is tough. Third push is tough. But you're pushing in a sense to get that win. Now, it's always better to win and learn rather than lose and learn. But you're still getting to the point where you want to build momentum. So now they have a 3-game, winning streak. So the push is getting a little easier because now the wheel is kind of rolling. So you just got to make sure you're doing your daily maintenance. So that goes back to practice, the drills, the preparation, the scouting report, the mentality. You still got to be able to be getting in the gym to get up extra shots. If you're just going to practice and going back home, that's not enough. So all you're doing is making sure you're continuing to do the things that you've done, not even over the last 3 games, but what you've done over this short season that has now put you in position to win your last 3. You can't now get to this point and say, oh, we have arrived. We are here. Now let's go. No, no, no. You continue to do the things even while you were losing, but now that turned into wins, you have to continue to do that daily maintenance while also adding in a sense of system or continuing to get better to help you again propel 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6. But if you happen to take a setback, again, learn from it, but you have to continue to push the wheel. So again, Cal has been around a very long time, man. It ain't like he's reinventing the wheel. It ain't like what I'm saying is new, but you just have to continue to push and continue to prepare from a practice standpoint, from a scouting standpoint, and making sure you're taking care of your body right now. I think that's the other thing that's key. Injuries. So guys got to make sure they're going in that training room, sitting in that ice tub, which I hated back in the day. But you have to make sure you're doing those things because you want to put yourself in the best position to make 3, 4, 4, 5, and 5, 6.
So now your trainers, he got pressure on him.
Fast Eddie.
No, but no, you're right. And I totally agree. Definitely got to stay healthy. Definitely got to keep, stressing the same things that are helping them play well. And bro, I've never told you, but very proud of you, man. And you were one of the first, I want to say one of the first teammates of the '96 team, anyway, that actually joined the coaching ranks. And I remember kind of your process. But you got out of basketball, and I realized you played extra. I think you played one more year with the stuff, Cincinnati stuff, after I left that year, and you went back. So I was like, I reached out to Coach Smith because I was trying to get back. People that don't know, part of a big part of the reason why I know I went to Kentucky was K. Will Leffert Award. You could come back and finish your degree. I don't think that was presented to me in any of my recruiting visits by other coaches. And I thought that one stand out well because, we were all trying to get to the next level and we didn't know when that was going to come. But you've been in it for 20 years now. I mean, who inspired, who gave you?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. You know what? Even at a young age, I always knew that I wanted to coach because of what coaches, did for me in my life. I've been blessed to be around a lot of good coaches, even from a very young age. And like you said, went to one of the prestige high schools in Miami. And, God rest his soul, Coach Rodriguez, just passed Shaky. Everybody knows him as Shaky, passed away this year. But we had Frank Martin, who was the head coach at South Carolina. Coached me on JV and coached me when I was 9, 10 years old. Anthony Grant was on staff, who's the head coach at Dayton. This is a high school basketball team. So I was always blessed to be around. And then you go to Kentucky and you got Coach Pitino, you got Coach Smith, but at the same time, you had Coach O'Brien. You got Frank Vogel, that was around. And you had Delray, you had Winston, then you had Sutton and Finney. Like, we had good staff. So I always wanted to do this. But I always say this, because when you're going through life, you can't do this stuff on your own, man. So that's why I'll never believe in burning bridges. And the thing that changed my trajectory, like you said, I was playing with the stuff, and I thought, this, and I didn't want to go overseas. I just was a States guy. I wanted to stay in the States, but it was very cutthroat, and I had my first child too, Maya. And, with, obviously Tanya, my college girlfriend, who's now my wife. And, you start thinking differently when you have to put food in somebody else's mouth, at the end of the day. But the thing that changed, and I tell this story because I'm grateful for Coach Smith. And I remember calling him because I got released by the stuff. And I was down in Atlanta because that's where my daughter and my wife was. And I was just trying to figure out my next move. I knew that I wanted to coach. And, I was probably this close of going to be a UPS driver, man. And I remember one of my best friend, Tony, said, man, you need to go back to school, finish your degree. And you wanted to get into coaching. Why don't you just do that? So I remember calling Coach, and this was kind of right around Christmas time in early December, per se. And I said to him, Coach, I want to come back to school and finish my degree, but I also, would hope that, you could help me, get into coaching. Now, I'm still young. Like, it's kind of hard to let go of that basketball dream. Like, because you're chasing that goal to play in the NBA. You had that goal since we was a little kid. So I was kind of right there in between of what I wanted to play and, making that transition to now, man, this is life now. But I always say his response to me changed everything. And I didn't know what Coach was going to say, And when I said that to him, the first thing he said to me was, how he talk, I can use you right now, And it caught me off guard. And I was like, wow, And then from that point, after we hung up, I told Tanya, like, hey, I'm going back to school to finish my degree and get into coaching. And that first year, because I came back during Christmas, and I was just around, and Coach just wanted me to watch practice and be able to talk to Tayshaun Prince and talk to Keith Bogans, Cliff Hawkins, Gerald Fitch, Chuck, Eric Daniels, just about, the things that we did, while we were at school, and then just talk to him about leadership. And then that following year, I was on his staff. And then from there, man, 20 years later, I'm still in the profession.
That's big time, bro, man. I'm proud of you for that too. And hey, I know you'll be back in that head coaching seat soon. And I was definitely proud when you got that job. And I know you're in a happy place at Loyola Marymount in LA, and and still changing lives, helping leading younger guys like you were once led. And man, I just appreciate having you on the show. Thank you, bro.
Yep. Well, you know what? Appreciate you having me, brother. And you know what? We've learned so much, through the years. And again, I think everybody has a gift, given from God. And I think this is mine, because, I love the game of basketball. But what I love more than the game of basketball is impacting the lives of young people, man. And, I get up every morning blessed to have this opportunity to impact, some young men's lives through the game of basketball. You know, and like Coach P used to always say, you know, basketball is a direct correlation to life. You know, the things that you learn by playing this game, the disciplines, the work ethic, you know, I don't care what field you carry it over to. If you take this with you, then you're going to put yourself in position to be a success. And don't put the monetary on it, but you know, you're putting yourself in position to be a success. And he used to always say, but I always know the formula for failure too is not to do those things, and you're gonna have a very average, you know, to below average life. So I'm blessed, man, and I'm happy for you, my man. By doing this, I know it gives you an opportunity, man. I know we got our group chat with our texts that we all stay in touch, but opportunity for you to, you know, get on with all the guys, man, and that's great, man. So, you know, blessed, and I want to say, I think I saw something. Congratulations, right? You're a head coach too, right?
Yeah, I just took a high school coaching job. Yes, sir. I am.
Yeah.
I
So
appreciate it.
yeah, so congratulations on you, man. I know you're gonna do great things, not only with that, but even, you know, with this as well, man. Because I think this is just a great avenue, even for, you know, the big blue nation to, you know, reconnect with some of the former guys, not only under Coach Patino, Coach Smith, but even under, you know, Coach Cal, even Coach Hall, Coach Sutton, rest his soul as well. But guys that have come through that program that still care a lot about that program, and you know, wants that program to continue to be what it is, and that's one of the pillars of college basketball.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, bro. It's a wrap.